Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Checkerboard Chat. This is Tyler Wombles, that's Damichael Cole, and we're back with the official sports podcast of the Daily Beacon. Damichael, we've got a football game coming up this Saturday, and a pretty important character that will be taking the field this Saturday. I think you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just dive into that a little bit, Damichael.
I think the fans really know who you're talking about. Jared Guarantano will be making his first career start, the redshirt freshman who we've seen briefly and in stints throughout the game so far this season. But Butch Jones over the bye week, he did tell us going into the bye week that the quarterback competition and other positions as well, but mainly the quarterback competition would be open, and he decided to go with Jared Guarantano. So now we'll see how that goes for the offense.
For sure, and I think that definitely brings about some changes, obviously, for this offense. Obviously, Quentin Dormady has started 5 games so far this season. He's thrown 6 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Obviously not the performance you'd expect to see, that you'd want to see from your junior starter, even though it is his first season. Obviously, Dormady is much more of a pocket passer, more of a pro-style player.
Right.
And then when you bring Jarrett Guarantano into the fold, he brings a lot more of that dual threat, that running with the ball threat, that sort of thing. Damichael, do you expect that offensive coordinator Larry Scott will change the offense in any way, maybe add more quarterback runs, or how do you see that going?
I think it's the offense we've always seen. It's the offense that they had when Dobbs was here. It's the offense they were playing with Dormady, even though Dormady wasn't the best fit, as we saw, for that style of offense. But I don't think the offense will change any. I mean, they didn't even change the offense with Dormady at quarterback. But as far as more runs, we may see him keep it more than Dormady did on the read options and things of that nature. But it'll be interesting because you look at it now, you see how are these defenses going to prepare when you have to choose between Dormady and Kelly. When you saw a lot of defensive ends and outside linebackers crashing down on John Kelly, and Dormady would have, it'd be him and a safety one-on-one, but he didn't have enough breakaway speed to get away in those matchups. But Guarantano could present that element. They said he ran a 4.45 coming into college. We haven't seen that breakaway speed yet, but this weekend could be the first time that's showcased.
And obviously, expanding on that a little bit more, you said we haven't seen that much. We really haven't seen anything from Guarantano so far. He's played in 3 games for Tennessee. He hasn't really been put in a situation yet where I think he really could succeed. I'm not faulting the coaches or anything for that. I'm just saying that, he was put in against Indiana State in a blowout game.
In the UMass late in the third quarter.
UMass, and then obviously he replaced Quentin Dormady in the game against Georgia.
Right.
After the offense failed to produce any points. He didn't lead them to score any points, but Butch Jones has made the decision to start Guarantano for this game after the bye week. Obviously, the Vols did have a bye week to try to work out a lot of what they see on the offensive defensive side of the ball. I do think the defense has gotten better.
Oh, yeah.
I think that the defense has improved from game to game, but the offense, it's almost like it's decreased in productivity. Just, Damichael, what have you seen so far from Tennessee's offense that has made it pretty stagnant, and do you think Guarantano can improve on that?
Well, any offense in the nation, it starts up front. And what have we seen? Every single game, Tennessee is putting new pieces to the offensive line. They haven't had continuity. Earlier this week, the coaches were talking to us, and we had Marcus Tatum in interviews, and he's talking about how the offensive line has continuity now. Larry Scott was talking about it as well, the offensive coordinator, with Marcus Tatum being the right tackle and Brett Kendrick being the left guard. And the rest of the line has pretty much been in place so far with Robinson and the rest of those guys. But the main thing is up front. It starts up front. And when you see John Kelly gets the ball, and he's hit as soon as he gets the ball. And if you can't establish the run to help out that passing game, which has had problems we've seen. And, it just starts up front. And I think now they're starting to establish that continuity. Now we'll see what this offensive line can be made of. We'll see what kind of offensive line this team does have. Because right now at this moment, we really don't know. We've seen glitz and glamours we've seen the stints of good offensive line play, but we've seen bad offensive line play as well. So now with some continuity, maybe we'll see if the offensive line can establish themselves up front and then that could open some run lanes and open it up for the passing game as well.
And I think you bring up a really good point there about the offensive line because obviously, I think I read where Butch Jones has used 4 different offensive line combinations. I know he used a lot, but I didn't remember the exact number. But, I read that it was 4. And then now that is something they talked about a lot about the players and the coaches coming out of the bye week was, we found 5 guys that we want in this lineup. We have this lineup that we like. Obviously, that includes Brett Kendrick, actually, at left guard, and Marcus Tatum at right tackle. Ja'Shawn Robertson, obviously, is a veteran guy. He plays center.
Yeah.
Coleman Thomas backs him up there. And I agree. I think that this offensive line combination gives them a lot of chance to be versatile because they have – a lot of these guys can play multiple positions. I know Ja'Shawn Robertson can play several positions on the offensive line. Brett Kendrick can play guard and tackle. I think it's really – that is something that could help the team. And obviously John Kelly is a guy who – may not need as much blocking as other running backs.
All he needs is a little crease. Sure. And, John Kelly, he's shown that he can make things happen. That's all he needs. And you look at the defense they're about to play against, just to touch more on that, South Carolina has a very aggressive defense. UT fans know very well Will Muschamp as a defensive coordinator. As a head coach, he brings aggressive defenses to the fold. Last week, they forced 4 turnovers defensively against Arkansas, and they also had three touchdowns on defense. So this defense is very aggressive. They make plays. That's their calling card. That's the way. That's South Carolina football now. It starts with that defense because Will Muschamp, obviously, he's a defense-first coach. So the offense will have to get it going if they want to win this game.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think that is my biggest key for this game is, how will Tennessee's offense respond? Obviously, defensive performances come and go. Like we said, we think this defense has improved, but how will this offense respond? How will they get better? Will that change come with Guarantano? We'll have to see. But Damichael, sort of switching gears more on the defensive side of the ball, who are some players that you could see really contributing Saturday and maybe making a big impact for Tennessee?
Right now, I'm looking at Kyle Phillips.
Okay.
Kyle Phillips, I feel like he's been very productive when put in the game. And obviously, they said it all. See, he's a 3rd starting defensive end. He's not a backup that comes in to replace Kongbo or Taylor. He's the 3rd starting defensive end. And he's been productive in stints when he gets in there. And obviously, right now, South Carolina's starting right tackle is not known if he'll play. And Phillips would see a lot of time going against him. Tennessee does move their defensive ends around, but Phillips will likely see a lot of time going against him. And I think that's a matchup that they could take advantage of. So I'm looking at Kyle Phillips, but the defense, the linebackers, they'll play a very big role as well because Tennessee linebackers will have to guard a really talented tight end in Hayden Hurst. Yeah. And he's a guy, Tennessee coaches have raved about all week long. And, he even has a rushing touchdown this year. So
you don't see that much of a tight end. But
a big 6'5" guy.
Yeah.
He's physical, so he's a guy Tennessee's definitely going to have to keep their eyes on. So,
For sure, and I agree with all that. I think obviously also the play of the secondary is something that'll be really important. Obviously, I think we've seen the secondary have some good moments, some bad moments. Obviously, we all know about the final play against Florida, but really that unit had played well in that game up to that point. Yeah. I don't think it's really fair to judge that unit on that last play compared to everything that they accomplished in that game, that they've accomplished at other points in this season. One key note is I remember, when we watched the Georgia Tech game, you saw the corners playing really far off the ball, like at least 10 yards off of the receiver.
Right.
And that was something that was sort of questioned, is this a scheme-wise, is this, Bob Shoop's decision to play those players that far back? Is it, just the way the defense shifts, what that was? But I think that the secondary has improved. I think it has looked better. Yeah. But going back to that defensive line, you talk about Tennessee's allowing too many rush yards. I think they're allowing, over 200 rush yards to opponents per game. That's just too much. And obviously, you're playing a team like Georgia, who has 3 or 4 guys who could be SEC starters at running back.
Best running back cores in the league.
But they still gave up, I think it was over 100 yards to UMass. So, you see they have Kyle Phillips. Obviously, Darrell Taylor has been suspended, but they have other guys besides him that can play. Shy Tuttle, Khalil McKenzie, guys that can get in there and that have been highly lauded guys who haven't necessarily done a whole lot, but have their whole career, but sort of have come back this season and worked a little bit harder. I think that's one of the biggest keys as well is, can they stop a rushing attack? Can they sort of take over that game? Because like you said, on both the offensive and defensive lines, that's where the cadence of the game is set. Oh, yeah. So switching gears again and talking a little bit about special teams.
Right.
Obviously, Tennessee's special teams have been, well, aside from Trevor Daniel, there hasn't been much to praise. Obviously, we all know about Trevor Daniel. We know the force he is, but Damichael, Tennessee's kicking game, as far as place kicking, hasn't been what you'd like to see. Just elaborate on that a little bit and, just revisit that situation for us.
Yeah, they've had 2 kickers that they've put out there this season. Medley, who's been there, and you have Samaglia, who's the young freshman who they were using to do deep field goals, long-distance field goals. And he hit the first one, and he missed a couple after that. And ever since then, it's just been inconsistency at the field goals, with the field goals. But going forward, I expect to see more Medley.
Okay.
That's what I expect to see. I mean, Medley, I feel like when you get these guys under 40 yards, they'll be okay. But most of the field goals they've had, it's been over 40 yards, and you're just throwing them out there with long-distance kicks.
That's part of, the offense not really executing.
Exactly.
That offense has to get them further into the field goal range.
Exactly, yeah. So, it just really, literally everything goes back to the offense. The offense has to produce for this team to reach their full potential. And even special teams-wise, when you're talking about the field goal kickers, you want to get them a 35-yard field goal to get them in a groove, and it's like, okay, now they have their confidence up. Now, okay, 45-yarder, let's go, I'm ready, kind of a feel. So, it's a confidence thing. If you just send a guy out there to kick 47-yarders, I don't think you can expect him to just go 4 for 4 and win you a game. Unless he's, Adam Vinatieri or something.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think Tennessee has an Adam Vinatieri on the roster right now. You never know.
Right.
But, obviously Aaron Medley is a senior. He started every game since his freshman season. His freshman year, he had a pretty solid year. He was a solid freshman, but since then he's really struggled. Has missed a lot of kicks, especially long-distance kicks. Obviously against Florida, Tennessee brought in Brent Samaglia, who is a freshman. He hit his first career field goal, was it 50?
I can't tell you the exact numbers. It was high 40s, early 50s, somewhere in that range. But it was long distance.
It was a long distance kick, and he impressed in that way. But he missed his next 2 kicks. Medley went 1 for 2 on that day. And really, Tennessee's kickers haven't shown anything yet to say either one deserves the job.
Exactly.
I think that's something that definitely Tennessee fans, analysts, anybody can look for every game from here on out, is which kicker is going to separate themselves. Obviously, we've talked about the quarterbacks, about what they bring to the table, but, will Aaron Medley sort of retake that role? Will he step back into that senior role, that leader role he's supposed to have?
Exactly.
Will Brent Samaglia become more consistent? Will he even get another shot? That's something that's interesting. Obviously, out of Tennessee's return game, not much to talk about there either.
Yeah, the injuries. Evan Berry, he went out of nowhere, honestly, and we don't know.
We don't know.
He said he just basically said, he's not available now. We know we'll get him back before the season ends, but that's all he knows. So that's all we know. But Ty Chandler, he ran a kickback early in the season against Indiana State, but besides that, and we haven't seen much in the kick return game, and the kick return game has been a staple in the Bush Jones era. Say what you want about Bush Jones, but kick returns and punt returns have always reaped good benefits with this team.
For sure, and like you said, Butch Jones has really put an emphasis on special teams, and I think that is one area, like you said, that he has improved Tennessee and has seen a lot of success. So now, Damichael, I guess we'll get into predictions for the game. What's your score that you predict, and what are some main, occurrences that you could see happening in this game?
Right now, I'm gonna go 28-24 South Carolina.
Okay.
all week I was leaning Tennessee, but just later on in the week, I just started leaning South Carolina simply because I feel like defensively they're ahead, and offensively I don't know. We don't know what to expect from Tennessee. Guarantano hasn't been the most accurate passer from what we've seen. We know what he is capable as a runner, but we haven't seen it. So just based off what we've seen from Tennessee in comparison to South Carolina's defense, who just coming off of a game where they scored 3 times defensively, forced 4 turnovers, and just the Will Muschamp staple is defensive aggressiveness. And Guarantano in his first start, how will he react to those kind of things? And I mean, South Carolina's athletic. So even though you say, yeah, we have a mobile quarterback now in Guarantano, but you look at a linebacker like Sky Moore, number 10 for South Carolina, fast.
Yep.
I mean, he flies around the ball.
He's a game changer.
He's a game changer, exactly. And he's definitely a guy that, I mean, he can help when you're going against a mobile quarterback like Guarantano. And the secondary, they've been really good. I mean, Rashard Fenton, he's been one of the best corners, period, in the SEC so far this year. It's just South Carolina just has a lot of the advantages in those matchups. Obviously, you'd look forward to seeing Guarantano. How will he affect the running game?
Right.
And then could that open up the passing game? The wide receivers haven't been very productive lately. And all those things, all those signs just point to South Carolina winning this game. But it should be a close one. So 28-24 South Carolina.
I like that score. I'm going to go a little bit broader.
Okay.
I like South Carolina with 28, but I'm going to say South Carolina 28, Tennessee 10.
Okay.
I don't see Tennessee revamping this offense. Like we said, we don't know what's going to come out of Guarantano. Maybe he does throw for 500 yards and 7 touchdowns.
500 yards.
You never know, but
Mike
I think
Leach offense.
Yeah. Texas Tech gunslinging, Patrick Mahomes type deal. But really, I think that just based on what I have seen from this Tennessee offense, I don't see much of a difference coming out. I don't see them being able to really spread the ball around anymore, score more points.
Yeah.
I think it won't be a blowout. Obviously, I think this defense will not play great, but I think they'll hold South Carolina in some ways. Obviously, they don't have Deebo Samuel.
Right.
They don't have they don't have some of the playmakers that Georgia had.
Right.
As far as running backs, and they do have Jake Bentley, who is a great
sophomore.
He's a great for a sophomore.
Player,
he's a really good standout player. But I don't see Tennessee really matching South Carolina on the offensive end. I just don't think this team has it in it right now.
Just to go more in depth with why I said 24 points for Tennessee, I feel like defensively, Tennessee's improved a lot. We saw Justin Martin, who's been playing a lot of off coverage, and he got a pick off of a slant route that in the first game he would have gave up, 10-yard completion. So I think the defense, they'll probably force a couple turnovers off Jake Bentley, who's a very productive quarterback, but you got to realize he's going on the road.
That's true.
He's going to Neyland. Yes, it's a noon game, but I feel like the fans will be into it if the team stays in the game. With Guarantano giving them, new hope with a new starting quarterback. So
the fans will turn out for sure. It's an SEC game; they'll turn out.
Exactly, and you look at special teams. Callaway's due one, if you ask me.
Okay.
I feel like he's due one, and special teams will be a big role. But I feel like they'll get some good field position. They'll be able to squeak out 24 points. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be interesting for sure. But we'll be right there. We'll be in the press box, so keep up with us. Obviously, check the website for our articles after the game. We'll tweet them out, but keep up with the Daily Beacon Sports Twitter. We'll be live tweeting the game from that. We'll also be tweeting from our own personal accounts. Guys, but that's going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching again. This is Checkerboard Chat, the official sports podcast of the Daily Beacon. I'm Tyler Wombles. That's Damichael Cole. Like I said, keep updated with us on our Twitter, Facebook, the website, just however you get your news. We're here to bring it to you. So thank y'all for watching. Tune in again next time to the next episode of Checkerboard Chat, and we will see you soon.